In this video, we'll cover all installation steps for the Wurtec Rope Brake, including setup, brake pad adjustment, orientation, anchoring, inspection, and wear part replacement. Review these critical warnings before you begin. Never use the rope brake to lower people or materials. Operate only when properly anchored. Inspect brake pads before each use. Secure hoistway openings or use a lifeline. Do not allow personnel underneath the rope. And never let the rope exit the rope brake before it is secure. Before beginning installation, gather the required tools: a C-clamp, a crescent wrench, 4, 6, and 8 mm hex keys, a socket wrench with 4, 6, and 8 mm sockets and extension, and an impact driver. If you're installing concrete anchors, you may also need a hammer drill with appropriate masonry bits, a wrench or sockets for 5/8 inch or 16 mm anchors, and 4 5/8 inch by 3.5 inch concrete anchors. Brake pads must be adjusted whenever you use a different wire rope diameter. To begin brake pad adjustment, place the rope brake flat on a tabletop. Pull the pin connecting the handle, and then remove the handle. Using a 3 mm Allen wrench, remove the rope brake height gauge. Set the gauge and screw aside for later. Carefully loosen the 4 upper M10 socket head screws to relieve spring compression. Loosen incrementally in a crisscross pattern so spring pressure is released evenly. Full removal is not required. Lay the rope brake on its side. Remove the 4 flathead screws that hold the brake pads on the base. Select the numbered hole pair that matches the diameter of your wire rope in millimeters. Align the underside holes of the brake pad to that number pair. Install and tighten 2 flathead screws through the base plate into the brake pad. Repeat for the opposite brake pad. Once both pads are secured, retighten the 4 upper socket head screws. Use a crisscross pattern to ensure even clamping force. Slide the handle back onto the lever rod, align the holes, and insert the quick release pin fully until the ball detent engages and is visible on the opposite side. Brake pads must be inspected for wear before each use. Failure to inspect may result in loss of rope control and serious injury or death. To perform this test, you will use the rope height gauge which you removed from the rope brake. Insert the wire rope through both sides of the rope brake. Verify the rope is seated in the wear groove. Select the side of the height gauge that matches your rope diameter. Place the gauge between the brake plate and the base plate to verify fit. If the gauge does not fit, reverse the V-groove pads if the outside has not been used and then retest. If it still does not fit, replace the upper brake pad. When testing is complete, reattach the gauge to the rope brake. Orient the rope brake so that the handle must be pulled away from the hoistway to open the upper brake pad. Never mount the rope brake in a position such that the handle must be pulled or pushed toward the hoistway opening to release the brake. Anchor the rope brake to the building structure using 5/8 inch or 16 mm diameter anchors with a minimum embedment of 2 3/4 inches or 70 mm. Install anchors per the anchor manufacturer's instructions. For complete installation instructions for all rope brake accessories, visit Wurtec.com. You are now ready to begin using the Wurtec Rope Brake to lower rope down the hoistway. The rope brake is designed to only lower the rope when the operator pulls back on the handle to open the brake pads. Perform these checks routinely. Inspect brake pads for wear using the actual rope section. Inspect die springs, 6 outer and 6 inner, for cracks or failure. Inspect roller tubes for smooth rotation and minimal wear. And inspect critical fasteners for tightness and corrosion, including the 4 upper M10 screws and the 2 M12 shoulder bolts. Verify the handle moves smoothly through its full range without binding. If motion isn't smooth, clean the pivot points to remove dust and debris, and then re-lubricate using silicone spray lubricant. To access wear components, carefully loosen the 4 upper M10 socket head screws in a crisscross pattern to relieve spring compression. Place the rope brake flat on a tabletop. Pull the pin connecting the handle and remove the handle. Remove the 4 screws while supporting the lever weldment to prevent it from rotating suddenly. Remove the top plate and the 12 springs. To replace roller tubes, remove the 2 M8 socket head cap screws that hold the left and right blocks together. Remove the 4 M6 flathead screws holding the blocks to the base plate, and then replace the tubes and bolts as required. Remove the 2 shoulder bolts attaching the moving brake to the pivot plate. Remove the 4 M6 flathead screws holding the brake pad to the brake plate, and then replace the worn brake pad with a new one. If the V-groove brake pads are still in good condition, reassemble the rope brake. If they need replacement, continue to the lower brake pad removal steps. Lay the rope brake on its side and remove the 4 flathead screws that hold the V-groove brake pads to the base. If one side of each V-groove pad is worn but the other side has sufficient material, rotate the pad 180 degrees and reinstall. If both sides have been used, replace both pads with new brake pads. You've completed setup and inspection for the Wurtec Rope Brake. Always follow your training, keep the unit properly anchored, and inspect wear components before each use. For support, contact Wurtec Customer Service at 1-800-837-1066.